This is Joe Betar.
This is Ramon Robles.
And we talk to fascinating people about their love of hunting, shooting sports, and the outdoors. This is Hunting Matters. Chapman with Red Desert Rifles.
These things are going to be hung in the Louvre one day.
They are. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. I'm jealous. I'm salivating just looking at the photos of them. But
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just visualizing it. As they haul these things into the Louvre, I can just imagine the city of Paris surrendering.
Really?
Well,
probably so.
The gun.
Yeah. They probably would.
They've got a history.
Wuss.
Lord, I apologize. Sorry, Chad.
No, you're just right. You're just right. Anyway, we're going to talk to Chad about custom rifle building today and all that entails on Hunting Matters. So, Ramon, our buddy Chad Chapman's with us today from Red Desert Rifles. Mm-hmm. I bet you're wondering where the name Red Desert comes from.
I do, actually.
Hey, Chad, what's going on, man?
Not too much. How are you guys today?
Good. We were talking a little bit off the air, but let's go ahead and jump right into this. Where did you come up with the name for your company, the Red Desert?
So Red Desert is actually where I live, southwest Wyoming. It's one of the U.S.'s largest moving sand dunes. I think it's, 120 miles long. It's called Red Desert. Since I live in the middle of it, it's Red Desert Rifles.
Yeah, Ramon,
part of Wyoming.
Yeah, you don't think about a desert in Wyoming.
I don't, actually.
You think in mountain, snow, the whole deal like that.
So it's pretty high desert mountains. I mean, elevation's 7,000 feet roughly here, and it is cold, windy, snow, and all that. We just don't have a lot of like timbered mountains like you would expect of, Yellowstone or Jackson Hole or that kind of stuff. It's still mountains, just not timbered.
Right. Chad, so you, for our listening audience that doesn't know, you build custom rifles for a living. That's your day in and day out gig, and Ramon and I are jealous.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty exciting. So
how did you get into that?
Building 15, 20 years ago, I bought a couple of rifles from a gentleman I worked with, and kind of intrigued by his personality. He's an old cowboy rancher guy, and he looks like Popeye. He reminds me of Popeye, but he's just intrigued of how he can make these beautiful, pretty things, with his cowboy appearance. Like, it's just not what I would have thought this fine artwork would come from. But anyway, I bought two rifles from him. Ordered the third one, and I asked him if I could, help him or watch, or just intrigued by it. Well, he let me help him build that gun with him together, I guess. And then I came home, bought a piece of wood off eBay for like $35, and I put it on a gun that I had in my gun safe, and I didn't mess it up. It come out pretty good. So I bought another piece of wood and put it on my second gun, the only two guns I owned at the time, and that one come out good. And I was out of guns and out of money, so I started just asking around, doing friends and family, thinking if I did, 4 or 5 of their guns and made a couple $100, I could buy myself another rifle and build one. And it just kind of snowballed from there into a full-time job and building the entire rifles, not just the stocks, and getting to meet, people all over the world and different organizations like you guys. And it's been great.
Did you, I'm curious, did you have a background in woodworking, or? Because, Ramon and I walk into a wood shop with a piece of wood, and there's no telling what's going to come out at the end of the day.
No. I mean, my dad built houses and stuff, carpentry work I'm familiar with. But by trade, I'm a welder and a mechanic, and just have a mechanical aptitude, I guess. And just got lucky with the artwork side of it. I don't think you can teach that. It's just you either have it or you don't kind of a deal. And I just blessed to have it, I guess. The gun side of it, the barrels and actions, it's not that technical. It's just precision machining and high quality components, and away you go. But the stock side of it, the fitting process is, my stuff is proprietary of how I fit that stock to fit your body dimensions, the size of your hand, the length of your trigger finger, the length of your forearm, your cheek piece, and so that's kind of a proprietary thing. But outside of that, it's the artwork after that is, making all those corners and radiuses flow together and feel comfortable and be functional at the end of the day as well.
Getting fitted for a rifle, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So It's it makes a big difference. Like, so my guns have a big palm swell on them. It kind of sets the stage for the whole rifle. Mm-hmm. From there, I can move the trigger forward or back, whether you want it like on the tip of your finger, in the middle of the pad, clear in the pocket. But every time you grab that gun, the trigger's in the same spot. So therefore, you pull the trigger the same. It's repetitive. The gun reacts the same, and the length of pull is, obvious, just the length of your forearm and whatnot. But I also shape the cheek piece so that your eye is naturally in line with the barrel. It's not in line with the barrel or the scope, so you're not trying to move your face forward or back. It's just there. There again, you have repetitive motion that you look through the scope the same, so you acquire the target quicker. All that kind of stuff goes with that stuff.
How do you measure somebody? I mean, do you have to literally fit them? Do you take body dimensions? Do you have a recipe for it where people send in their certain dimensions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just take one measurement from you, the length of your forearm to your trigger finger, basically from your bicep to your trigger finger, and I'll shape the stock of what I kind of judge your body by seeing you. Looking at you, I've done enough of them. I guess I've gotten good at it. I'll rough that stock out and mail it to you, and it'll have several parts on the stock marked. And call me when you get the stock in the mail. I'll walk you through step by step of what each component means and why. And you need to give me good feedback too. Like, is that palm swell too big? Is it too girthy? Like, my hand just doesn't wrap around it, or my face when I put the gun up, like I'm going to shoot at the barrel, is to the left just a little bit or right. You kind of have to talk through that scenario to get it fit just right, and usually they're pretty close. So if they end up really far off, if there's several adjustments that need to be made, I'll make those and then send the stock back to you one more time before we sort of put the finish or any of that stuff on to verify it is perfect for you.
What's a start to finish on average? What does a custom build take? How much time does that take?
So I quote 10 months. Part of that is lead times, getting components, build time, and then I shoot every gun out to 1,200 yards, gather the data, get a trip built for your gun, for your elevation and temperature. So it is Wyoming. It's windy. Some days I can't shoot. So that 10 months is not always accurate. Most of the time I'm before 10 months, but actual hours in the gun, about 100 hours in each gun, roughly actually work time. From starting to actually boxing it up and shipping it, there's about 100 hours in the gun.
Okay. So, and do you when you do these, do you build them in all calipers? Are there certain ones you specialize in, or is it pretty much whatever people ask for?
So that's part of my process, which is unique. I don't think anybody else in the U.S. does what I do, from the hand fitting, the hand carving of the stock, fitting it to your body. And then I talk to you about the caliber, like specifically, like if you're just in Texas shooting whitetails out of a blind or pigs, you probably don't need a 338 Lapua, a 6.5 PRC or a Creedmoor or something is more beneficial there. You don't need all that extra horsepower. So we navigate what cartridge or caliber may best suit your needs. If you're going on a trip to Africa next year and you're going to kill Cape buffalo, then we darn sure don't want you going with a 6.5 PRC. It's going to be 375 H&H or bigger, and so we cater it to how you're going to use the gun, what best suits your needs, and not only the fitting process, the caliber, but like the contour of the barrel, the length of the barrel, the muzzle brake or no muzzle brake, or maybe you're going to run it with a suppressor, and I try to cater that and build that rifle to every aspect that you think you might need. And it's also a vision. It's a piece of artwork. It's a family heirloom that you can pass down. So when you come to me with not just your hunt, but a vision of what you want this gun to look like, or how it reacts and how it feels, we try to build that to fit all that, and basically make your dream come true, I guess.
So with your custom rifle build, all these things you're telling us, the custom rifle build is a full body experience. It's not only needs to fit you physically, but it's also what your specific shooting experience is going to be, what kind of game because I'm speaking to you from a guy who's never had a custom built rifle made from the ground up. Somebody who buys something off the rack, as most of us are. We walk in and we go, well, we want a 6.5 PRC, or we want a Creedmoor, whatever, and we find one on the shelf, and we order it online or whatever. Most of us are Ramona and I are definitely novices as far as custom builds. So it sounds like it's more than just hey, I want this and you're building me a gun. I mean, it sounds like you really kind of have to know the person physically and from the inside out almost. They become more than just a customer. They're as the old saying is that the firearm becomes an extension of that person.
Yeah, so that's part of actually on my website and my stuff. The firearm is an extension of your body, basically. I want it to just fit you and feel perfect and actually be an extension of your body. You just point it out there, and now your arms, 4 foot long instead of 2 foot long, kind of a thing. And as far as the relationship with my clients, yes, I get to know you very well because we talk about all those scenarios, your hunting aspirations and that. And then when the gun is finished, if you choose to, I do offer a 2-day shooting school that's included with the gun if you want to come to Wyoming. The first day we'll shoot off a bench at steel targets out to 1,200 yards and teach you how to dial and read the wind and mirage and, other environmental factors and, basically get you used to the gun, or maybe it's even teaching you different techniques of holding the gun or pulling the trigger, or maybe breaking a bad habit, or creating maybe you're going to teach me fix one of my bad habits. The second day is more of a hunting scenario. We go down on the mountain, high desert mountain, and shoot at rocks across the canyon, down the draw, up the draw. And that's more stimulated in a hunting experience, whether you're using a bipod, laying down prone, using your backpack or your binoculars as support for the rifle. And it also gives you an ethical feel of what distance you are, qualified to shoot at. Just because you spend $10,000-$20,000 on a rifle doesn't mean you should shoot an animal 1,000 yards. The gun's probably capable, but maybe you are not. So this is actually going to show your limits and show you where you need to practice to get better, and kind of show you, in my opinion, when not to take the shot. I feel like you owe it to the animal to kill the thing in one shot, cleanly, quickly, and if you can't 10 out of 10 times put it in a 5-inch dot at whatever the distance, 500, 700 yards, then you owe it to the animal to either change your platform, sneak closer, or just, come back another day. I think that's just an ethical part of the hunting, not just the gun. And so that's all in my package or my experience with this custom rifle. It's not just, here's your gun, give me your money, and away you go. I have a relationship with you over the phone, and then you spend a weekend with me. We get to be friends and have dinner and have a beer or whatever it is. And it's pretty fun. Pretty good experience.
Sounds like it. I am a left-handed shooter, so on a bolt action, would you be able to put that slide on the other side?
Yeah, so I can build a left-handed rifle with a left-handed stock and a left-handed action, or a left-handed stock with a right-handed action. A lot of times, especially the older generation, grew up shooting dad and grandpa's right-handed gun, and they cycle the bolt with the right hand, but they shoot it left-handed. And when you switch and put the bolt on the left-hand side, it feels really awkward to you. So a lot of the older generation choose to go with a right-handed rifle with a left-handed stock that fits them ergonomically. So
that's what I do. I have a bunch of left-handed. I'm left-eye dominant too. Yeah, and I have a couple of left-handed left bolt action rifles, but most of them are right-handed bolt action, and I'm so accustomed to reaching over the barrel.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Reaching over the barrel on the receiver. And
it's almost natural now to reach over.
Yeah.
It slows my timing. It slows my shots, but it's okay.
And the only thing different that creates an issue, and it's not really an issue, is obviously I shoot them out to 1,200 yards. I'm going to shoot your left-handed gun right-handed because I can't shoot left-handed. So once you receive the gun, you may have to sight it in for you shooting it left-handed because you're going to look through the scope just a little bit differently than I do right-handed.
Chad, if I were going to get you to do that for me, would you mind just taking the target out to 1,201 yard just so that it's that much, just that little better?
Just break the record just a little bit.
Just that 1 yard, yes, sir. I'd appreciate it.
I do have. I mean, it's just for fun, but I do have a target that is at a mile. It is just for fun. Like, I have no claim to fame that I can hit it every day or any of that.
But you've hit it.
That can. I'm not one of them, but I have hit it. Yeah.
How long does that take from the shot to the report?
Yeah. It's long. Like, the bullet. I don't know, for argument's sake, time of flight's probably, and I'm just guessing. Don't quote me.
Yep.
But, 3 seconds for the bullet to get there.
Yeah.
2.5 seconds, and then of course the sound to come back. You can literally pull the trigger, set the gun down, stand up, and then hear the gun. Like it's a little bit of a report. The report's a little long.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Not that it's right, but even at 1,200 yards when you shoot, if you were to pull the trigger and then just lift your head up off the gun, it's not a good practice, but lift your head up off the gun, you can have your head up, be vertical and hear the gong. Even at 1,200, it's that slow.
That's pretty cool.
Do you guys? You said before that you guys typically shoot at steel targets at 1,200.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, off a bench. And,
okay.
Part of that is just to show you that you spent X amount of money on my rifle, and I claim a 1/2 inch. We put 100 yards and hopefully a 1/2 minute all the way out, but you get to see the gun shoots as well as what I sold it to you as in a controlled environment. We get in the field and sometimes you can't shoot a 1/2 inch because you're not on a good platform, or you're out of breath, or you're excited, or whatever the case may be. So,
that's reasonable. I mean, anybody complaining otherwise is just foolish.
And that range stuff is fairly controlled. I give you 1 bullet at a time. The gun's not loaded. You don't have a bunch of bullets there, even for to mistakenly grab. I hand you 1 bullet at a time. We talk about the shot, or what you see, or when you pulled the trigger, what you saw when you pulled the trigger. So obviously safety is important, but it's low pressure, low key, just to talk through every shot and what happened and why, and how do we fix it, or why was it good and we don't need to fix it. Let's just move on to the next step, kind of a thing. So
so you kind of break down what the shooter's doing right and wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
So whether sometimes it's the way, like I'm guilty. Years ago, I used to grab the gun pretty hard, pretty firmly, just kind of grip the pistol grip, pull it into my shoulder because I know it was going to kick. And I don't feel that that's the best way anymore. I think you should let the gun be loose and not touch it as little as possible. Let the gun free recoil the way it wants to react, and do that repetitively. Let it do its thing.
Now, forgive me if I sound like a sissy, but doesn't that hurt?
No, it's actually less, unless it's a big gun. It's actually less, just letting it kind of slap you versus, if you pull into it tight, your body's tense, you're leaning forward, and whatever that gun gives you, you're kind of like a brick wall, versus if you're limp back there, your body moves with the gun. It does hit you, it does recoil, but you kind of move with the gun. And it's really hard if you're holding the gun tight and firm like that to do at the same time. Say, for argument's sake, let's say you're putting 3 pounds of pressure on the gun. Well, next time you might put 3.5 or 4 pounds of pressure. Like, how do you keep that repetitive when you don't know how hard you're squeezing it? So if you just let it sit there, let it sit on the bipod, let it sit on the rear bag, just bring your hand in and hold the gun, let it kick you, and it's pretty easy because you're really not touching the gun.
I have this shooting technique where when I fire, I match the speed of the recoil so that I'm moving just a half second before it, so it never really touches my shoulder when it shoots.
Gotcha. I would talk you out.
Is that before or after you swear like a girl?
I would definitely talk you out of that scenario.
Well, I have some bad habits.
He's a shooting ninja.
So I do the same thing. There's guys who will disagree with this, but I shoot with both eyes open. And my theory is when I flinch or when I jump, my left eye closes, then my right eye closes, and then my body flinches. So in theory, when I pull the trigger with both eyes open, hopefully the bullet's already gone before left, right, and flinch happens. Hopefully it's already gone.
Interesting. Now, I've heard of that with, red dot, because you're not shooting at such great distance. But, Even shooting out further than 100, 200 yards, you keep both eyes open.
I try to, yeah. So it helps you too. It helps you like acquire the target. Like some people have a hard time, like they can see the animal or the target out there, but they can't find it in the scope. Well,
that
if
makes
you're
sense.
using both eyes, sometimes that's easier. And then I like you to stay on the gun after the shot. I want you to see the animal or the target hit before the recoil gets you.
Yep.
So having both eyes open helps function. It's called follow through. If you think about a baseball pitcher, when he throws the ball, he doesn't just stop, horizontal where he lets the ball go. His arm comes all the way through and around.
Yeah.
Or your golf swing, you don't just stop and hit the ball. Your swing comes all the way back. So the follow through the shot is actually watching the bullet hit the target in the scope before the recoil gets you, because the bullet's there before that gun moves. So.
Yeah, I've never thought of that, but that makes sense.
I've never seen somebody more panicked when they couldn't find an animal in their field of vision. Especially young people or first-time hunters. We're like, it's right there. You can see it because you're looking at it through the naked eye or binoculars or something like that, and they're trying to, and I guarantee you, if in retrospect now, think about it, if I go back and think about those situations where people got, just shaken up and just couldn't get the animal in the field of view in the scope, is because they were trying to close one eye and crank down on the other one and find it, and versus looking at everything that's open. That's a really good point, because I've seen people just literally panic. Well, I can't see it, and then the shot opportunity is gone, and they're upset, or they're just bummed. But
so you shoot with both eyes, Joe Vitar?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
Go ahead, Chad. I'm sorry.
Sometimes having the scope turned down on the minimum power, acquire the target and then dial it up is another way to find the target quicker, easier. It is one more step, but your field of view is much bigger on 3 power versus 20 power.
So dial it back and then acquire a target, dial it in.
Yeah, and dial it in. And then, in the field scenario part of that school, that's part of what I teach you is, like say we're going to shoot prone, we're going to lay down. Well, before you even get down to your knees, you should set the gun on the bipod or whatever you're going to use and have the barrel pointing at the target before you even lay down. Like you can tell if your bipod is too high because it's pointing on the horizon, or it's too low, or you can adjust it while you're standing up. It's very difficult to adjust all that when you're laying down and trying to pick the gun up and move over. So get the gun on target the best you can, standing up or kneeling, and then lay down into the gun and hopefully try then to make minor adjustments when you're laying. So that's also part of that, setting up for the shot, or, maybe my backpack's not going to work, my bipod's not going to work, I need to do something else, or elevate more, or, who knows what the case may be, but, you can fix it before you get laying down.
I think that's probably, Ramon, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes, or it's a common mistake. If Chad, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but we're hunting in Texas a lot of times. We're hunting in a blind. We're sitting there for a couple of hours waiting for the corn feeder to go off or whatever, or we're shooting coyotes or whatever, and we get a little spoiled. But my first time I got to go out and do mountain hunting in the West, you find out quickly that you're not popping your gun out the window of a deer blind. And I mean, we train specifically for that, but I think that's probably a big, big mistake, is people that are hunting in new conditions and new terrains, not to shoot from every possible position. I mean, I think it overall makes you a better marksman if you shoot from a prone, lying. I like to shoot on my back quite frequently. But am I right, Chad? I mean, especially, you see those first time mountain hunters and like, you want me to lay on my stomach? You want me to what?
Yeah, most definitely. Like, just the thought of for some people laying down in the rocks or the cactus or sagebrush, whatever it may be, or the mud, the snow, like you're going to get wet, you're going to get cold, but your animal's there, so that's kind of what you have to do. But if you're not accustomed to it, psychologically, it's an issue for some people to get down in those positions. And then too, maybe the rifle is not set up correctly to where when you do lay down, you can't get relief through the scope, or maybe the length of pull is too long, so you still can't get relief through the scope. Maybe it's, maybe there's issues with your equipment because you didn't try all of those scenarios like you're talking prior. Get them fixed before you go to the field.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it behooves you, if you're going to spend that time and money to go do a hunt in a different area, that you go shoot any different way you can, whether it's on shooting sticks or on one knee or prone position, whatever, just to get used to it. And then, even then, you get in a situation or a scenario where you're like, I'm on the side of a mountain with a 35-degree incline, and there's the animal I've been trying to find for 4 days, and you got to make it happen quick. And you need to be able to adjust and adapt your body to that, whether it's up, down, whatever. That adds a whole another level where it needs to almost become instinctive. And the way you get there is you practice those. You and I are going to go out to the shooting range here, and we're not going to be able to lay down on the side of a mountain, but we can simulate things, in certain conditions. But Chad's up from Wyoming, so he's a Western hunter. He's more used to it than we are.
Right.
But if you think of it, you can think outside the box, like even in your house on the couch with your rifle unloaded, obviously, and all that stuff. But you could put over the arm of the chair versus the seat cushion. It's two different elevations, so like guns laying crooked or off the back. Like you can create, if you get creative, different scenarios where the gun is not just level and straight out the box laying window or off the bench. Maybe it's on your side-by-side, the front of your side-by-side, the hood's shaped around, it dives real off, and if you're going to shoot across the hood, if that's legal where you're at, I don't know. It's, setting the bipod up or your rest up to accommodate for the radius in the hood, or doesn't always have to be a mountain. If you think about looking at your surroundings, look at the platform that you're going to use, and adjust before you set the gun down.
I know a guy, true story, not even joking, who will do jumping jacks at the shooting range and then shoot to practice.
Get his heart rate up?
Yeah, get his heart rate up, practice shooting that way.
Sure.
That just occurred to me.
Think about like you guys coming from zero, sea level to 8,000 feet. You're going to be out of breath. You might be fit as a fiddle, but you're probably going to be out of breath, and you may have to shoot under that condition. So that's a good practice.
That's why they should allow automatic weapons for hunting. That way, even if I'm out of breath, I can just take 4 or 5 cracks in a second. One man's opinion.
The follow-up shot's quick.
Exactly.
Turn a gun you like into one you love. You'll shoot better with the Boyd's Hardwood Gun Stock. Upgrade your firearm to Boyd's and your gun will fit you better and look better. Boyd's uses only top-grade hardwoods because a hardwood stock performs. Boyd's gun stocks are engineered to fit precisely on its specified gun model. Their engineers have continued to perfect manufacturing methods since 1981. That's why you get far more gun stock for your money. Boyd's makes gun stocks for hundreds of gun brands and thousands of models. Shoot better today at boydsgunstocks.com. Nobody wants to imagine an emergency on a hunting trip, but when the unexpected happens, you want the team of medical and security experts at Global Rescue to be there for you. Global Rescue Operations Centers are staffed by experienced personnel, and you'll always speak to an expert on the first call. With unparalleled capabilities to transport members to their home hospital of choice, you'll get back to your preferred hospital, not the closest. So, trade what-ifs for peace of mind with convenient travel services designed for the unexpected. Learn more at globalrescue.com/hunting matters.
Hunting Matters is sponsored by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Under the visionary leadership of founder Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's is leading North America's largest conservation movement. Together with their partners in conservation, they're positively shaping the future of the outdoors through donations, grant-making, and advocacy. The 501c3 Outdoor Fund raises funds to support conservation efforts by activating more than 200 million passionate sportsmen and women, rounding up their purchases in Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's stores and online. Visit BassPro.com or Cabela's.com today. Gunworks is a Cody, Wyoming-based manufacturer and provider of premium long-range rifle systems, optics, components, and training. Since 2006, Gunworks has led the charge in innovating and engineering premium quality long-range shooting technology, equipment, and techniques with a singular goal of providing hunters the ability to achieve quick and effective one-shot kills at whatever distances shots are encountered. The Gunworks team is dedicated to service and perfection in purpose-built products ready for 1,000 yards out of the box. Learn more at gunworks.com. That's GUNWERKS.com. Chad, what are you seeing, folks? And if you're just joining us, we're with Chad Chapman with Red Desert Rifles. His website is reddesertrifles.com. That's REDDESERT rifles.com, reddesertrifles.com. It's got some beautiful, I call them artwork because that's what they are. Yeah. What do you see? I know it's cyclical. I know it varies year to year, and it's kind of whatever's happening out there. Are you seeing a specific type of caliber right now that it's kind of the trendy thing that are in most of your orders, or is it kind of all over the board?
Predominantly, I must say 80% of my guns are with the fad that year. So, the 6.5 Creedmoor for a couple of years was the ticket, and then the 6.5 PRC, and then last year and this year it's the 7 PRC. All of them great calibers in their own scenarios. Factory ammunition is available, and it's very accurate. It's very dependable. So that's a seller for, the gentleman or the lady that doesn't reload or doesn't want to mess with custom ammo from a buddy or a third party. You go buy the shells at Cabela's or Sportsman's Warehouse, whatever you have there, and you go. So that's a benefit to a lot of people, and those cartridges that are the fad that year typically fall into that case where you can buy factory ammo and still get out to 800 to 1,000 yards. So like this year I sold 35 rifles in January. 26 of them, 28 of them were 7 PRCs. So that very same scenario is factory ammo.
And you think it's because, this is the new thing, so I don't have that caliber in my gun safe, so that's what I need. It's a new, and
There is some of that. Like, if a guy's got a collection and he's missing or has a little window and needs filled, that caliber might fill it. But I feel like it's the availability of factory ammo, less of a hassle, and maybe more cost effective too, to buy a box of $55 for 20 rounds versus $120 for 20 rounds. I can see the appeal to that as myself. So
yeah, I'm just as guilty as anybody else because I had a 270 and a 300 Win Mag most of my life, and then I think 2 years ago I broke down and got a 6.5 PRC.
Why is that?
I just wanted it, and it was everybody was talking about their new 6.5s that they had. I got a Creedmoor, I got a PRC, and I'm like, well, yeah, I got a 270 300. I'm good with that. And then I thought, well, I actually went out to a range day and I shot him, and I was like, this is pretty sweet. It was very accurate for the very flat trajectory. Very little recoil whatsoever in the gun I was shooting. And it was just like, hey, I want the new Jeep. I guess it was one of those. It kind of got the better of me. I was like, and then of course I'm the guy who never buys the first year model. I always wait till they've been around for a while, but that's just me. But I've enjoyed that 6.5 PRC. I shoot at 1,500 yards pretty regularly when we go out and do a little long range shooting, and I've had no problem whatsoever. And like Chad said, factory ammo right out of the box, and everybody's got their own opinion about factory ammo and which they like better and the load and all that stuff. But I've been very impressed with that 6.5 PRC caliber. It's been very accurate for me. I've not shot a lot of animals yet with it other than pigs. That's the one I took to Alaska when I tried to do. We got sick of blacktail and didn't see any deer that trip. But I'm looking forward to this fall taking it out and trying to shoot some deer with it and seeing how it does. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, as I say, it's plenty of guns for all of that stuff. Even here, we kill elk with it here. It might be a little light if it's a poor shot, but if you're making good, pike blade shots behind the shoulder, there's nothing wrong with that gun. And like you say, it's super accurate. It's flat. There's no recoil, and ammo's cheap and available. So it's a no-brainer sometimes to buy that gun.
So I have a question for you. I'm going to go to South Africa and try to shoot a Cape Buffalo with a bow next year. You were talking about calibers earlier, so I'm just hoping the guy behind me has a satisfactory caliber just in case.
It has a big one.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hypocrite in my lifestyle. My dad was years ago was a rifle hunter, but kind of evolved down to the archery thing, and he went from a compound to a recurve to a longbow. So by the time I was old enough to hunt, we hunted with a longbow, and if they weren't 25 yards, you didn't shoot. You just had to figure out how to get closer and be a better hunter. And now I sell guns that, in theory, you can kill an animal at 1,200 yards. I'm kind of a hypocrite, but I do teach. I do try to teach. Still be a hunter, still get close as possible, make those good shots. But because there is nothing funner than shooting an animal at 15 or 20 yards with that bow.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I'm an equal opportunity hunter. I like them both, but I tend to lean towards the bow if the situation presents itself. And it sure is a lot easier sometimes to travel with a bow internationally than it is a rifle. So,
for sure.
But I do enjoy a rifle, and I think in the last couple of years I've gotten more into there's more people, and there's more guns capable of it, more ammo loads and that sort of thing. But I've really gotten into long range shooting more than I thought I would the last couple of years. And most of the guys I know that have ranches and things, they've got 1,000-yard, 1,500-yard targets set up. It's just almost mandatory. I mean, you go to these people's places now, and it's like, yeah, you want to go shoot 1,000 yards and see if you're sighted in? I'm like, I remember the days where I'm like, let's go shoot 50 or 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But optics and everything's changed.
I have a philosophy there too. Years ago we used to sight them in with a 200-yard zero, and it kind of worked better for dialing, out at distance. But most of my clients travel, and when you show up in Africa or New Zealand, wherever you go, those guys probably most of the time have a 100-yard range. Mm-hmm. At least you can shoot at. But most of them don't have a 200-yard range. So
right.
I do set them up so that they can sight the gun in or check their zero at 100 yards, because just the availability when they do travel. And then the flip side of that, because it is a pain in the butt to travel internationally with firearms, I've been able to trade rifles to various outfitters around the world that if you were to go with them, you don't have to travel with a gun. My rifle's already in camp. You get to shoot a high-end gun, hopefully fall in love with it, come home and buy one, and you don't have to travel with one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Kind of a sales pitch. Plus, I got to go hunting, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What if your day-to-day hunting? What do you typically like to do? Unless you've got a special trip plan, what's your everyday best preferred type of hunting?
So we Wyoming, we're very fortunate. We can buy a general elk tag and a deer tag over the counter every year. So I kill an elk every year of my life since I was 14 years old, which is pretty fortunate. And I switch calibers every year because I want to test or try out different calibers, different bullets, so I have firsthand knowledge of trying to direct you in your scenario of what works and what doesn't in my actual experience versus reading on the internet. So
yeah,
we shoot a lot of elk, and we have shot them with the Creedmoor. 28 nozzlers are my favorite. It's like go one gun in your safe for North America. That's the gun to have, in my opinion. It's a little bit big for your whitetail for sure, but dead is still dead.
Are you saying our whitetail are small? Are you calling our whitetail small, Chad?
They're a tad small. Body-wise, they're small. Horn-wise, they're not.
But what was the gun? The Creedmoor?
28 nozzler.
28 nozzlers would be my go-to gun. If you had one gun in your safe.
Yeah, I like that. I like that question. Yeah, if you had one in your safe. Okay, 28 nozzler.
Yep. So I'd say it's a little overkill for some animals, but we're talking one gun from grizzly bears, moose, elk, deer, whitetail pigs, like the whole array.
Poor squirrels.
That would be the gun I would buy. Yeah, well, yeah.
They're great prairie dog guns.
So, yep. There's theory behind that too. Is aim small and miss small. So
right. So after the last couple of winters you guys have had up in Wyoming, how are your big game populations starting to rebound? Or are they not?
The elk are fine. The elk fare well. They're pretty tough. The deer are horrible. They keep coming out with different numbers. Somewhere between 70 and 90% of that herd was lost, and they're just gone. They'll never come back. In my opinion, I don't think you'll ever see it like it was. Granted, there are still deer there. The diehard deer hunters, the gurus, they still kill a handful of giant deer every year, but it's not the norm anymore. For example, last year we spent 11 days up there with the mules, packed in, riding a lot of country, not hiking a lot of it, but riding a lot of country. I think in those 11 days we've seen 12 deer, and I'm talking does and fawns, and bucks all together, 12 deer in 11 days, where normally you would see that on, 11 or 12 deer just riding in one drainage or one hillside, It's, it's, pretty, it's, pretty, it's pretty saddening or sickening, I guess.
The Houston Safari Club Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports the future of hunting and conservation. Wildlife and habitat conservation, youth education and outdoor experiences, scholarships, and anti-poaching efforts are just a few of the programs supported by this organization. Monthly events, an annual convention, award-winning publications, networking opportunities, and valuable resources for hunting knowledge are just a few of the benefits of being a member of Houston Safari Club Foundation. If you're searching for a group of people dedicated to protecting the future of hunting, look no further. Join Houston Safari Club Foundation today at wehuntwegive.org or call 713-623-8844.
Hunting Matters is presented by DEA Ranch. Are you looking for the ultimate South Texas hunting experience? Then look no further than DEA Ranch. DEA Ranch offers some of the best whitetail and exotic game hunts in South Texas year-round. Whether you're looking to fill your freezer or put the next hunting memory on the wall, their professional guides are focused on ensuring each client has a memorable and exciting hunting experience. DEA Ranch offers guided hunts, professional staff, chef-prepared meals, trophy preparation, and more. To learn more, go to DEARanch.com. That's DEARanch.com.
Hunting Matters is presented by RC Cartridges. Founded in Italy in 1970, RC Cartridges is a family-owned business dedicated to technology, innovation, and shooting excellence. RC has a historic legacy as a provider of ammunition for Olympic champions, and they are constantly evolving with the goal of producing the highest quality cartridges available. RC is as passionate about shooting and hunting as you are. Whether it's hunting or shooting, steel or small caliber, RC Cartridges has the shotgun shell options to meet your needs. Go to rccartridgesusa.com to learn more. That's rccartridgesusa.com.
Are you interested in breeding exotic wildlife as a method of generating cash flow for your ranching operation? Wildlife Partners is an innovative wildlife conservation company that is the largest breeder, buyer, and seller of exotic wildlife in America. Let them show you how wildlife breeding and ranching can help secure the future of animal species while generating cash flow and substantial first-year tax deductions. Wildlife Partners serves more than 500 private landowners in Texas and numerous conservation-minded investors throughout the U.S. Non-landowners can also own wildlife. To learn more, go to wildlifepartners.com.
So I know that there was some talk in Wyoming of doing away with conservation and governor's tags and that sort of thing and changing the seasons. Has that gone into effect?
It has not.
Okay.
They've manipulated the seasons a little bit because of the deer herds, but there are still commissioner's tags, there's still governor's tags, as far as I know.
Okay.
I have not heard that.
But they've adjusted.
Changing the season.
Have they adjusted the seasons or the limits and things like that?
Not so much. Like we can only buy one, so I can only shoot one deer a year.
Okay.
Anyway, but that's like the season. Say it used to be 3 weeks long, now it might only be 2 weeks long. They did shorten, and then some of the areas they added restrictions that it had to be a 4-point or 3-point or better. And each area or each region is different depending on if they're resident or non-resident too. So
sure.
We don't feel, the sportsmen don't feel like the Game and Fish did nearly enough to try to help those animals. A friend of mine last year started this, he called it Let a Deer Walk. He encouraged you to still go buy your license so the Game and Fish was still funded, still had money, but that deer license was your raffle ticket for his drawing. We had $150,000 worth of prizes in there, one of them being a gun that me and 3 or 4 other gun builders here built together. They had side-by-sides. They had, half a beef. They had tires and wheels and a lift kit for your truck. They had 4-wheelers and taxidermy stuff. And he ended up with like 2,800 deer tags turned in. So it was kind of a like egg on your face to the Game and Fish. If you're not going to do it, we will kind of a thing. And kudos to him. He did a great job.
Yeah, that's unique. I didn't hear about that effort. That's really a great example of hunters stepping up to conserve and protect animals, which we always get badmouthed about. But that's I didn't even hear about that. That's very, very smart. And kudos to those hunters who would turn in their tags and their licenses and say, okay, I'm not going to hunt this year, but there's somebody who's actually given me a chance to use it for something. And I've always been a firm believer. I mean, I years ago remember an experience where somebody told, we were in camp. It was a kind of a multi-use type property, but there was some people in camp who were adamantly against hunting. And one of the guys in camp told this lady, they said, if you'll buy a hunting license every year versus paying, writing a check to PETA or whomever, HSUS for $15 a month, you'll save more animals every year just by buying a hunting license. And by the end of that evening, she said, you know what, I'm going to buy a hunting license. I'll never use it, but I'll go buy it. And so there's power in that. There's power in those licenses, whether you use them or not, as obviously.
Yeah. And a lot of that is just plain and simple education. They're not around it. They just see us as murderers and killing animals and this and that. They don't understand our life's history and our passion for not only hunting the animal, but just seeing the animal and being a part of it, and nature in itself. And they don't see that because they don't have the education, or they've never experienced it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's not, sometimes it's no fault of their own. They just have never had the opportunity to go see those things. I've seen people go in the outdoors who probably never hunt and fish, but had no clue what a river or stream even looked like until they first saw them, and then they're like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to be in the outdoors. I may not hunt, may fish, may do both, but once they get a chance to expose, and we Ramon and I have talked about this on the show before. I think that was one of the few things that was good about the pandemic is people got bored and they were like, okay, I want to go outside. I want to go do something outdoors. And that's when you saw the surge in fishing license sales and camping. You couldn't get a camping spot anywhere in the U.S. hardly, but that was one of the only benefits of it.
Yeah, agreed. Same thing with the firearms. People that grew up without a firearm in the house, there's whatever reason they're scared to death of them. It's because mainly because they weren't educated about it.
The perception in Hollywood,
how to handle it safely.
Media. Yeah, I'm like that. I'm a perfect example. I'm well on my way to 50, and I don't have nearly the experience that I feel like I should, just because I was raised in a big city, never got out to do anything, and so for a 46-year-old, I have a lot of preconceived notions about hunting and guns that over the years, thanks to the show, have kind of broken me and shown me the correct ways of doing things, and matter of fact on facts. So God love the hunter.
I think, like, safety wise, even especially like it's especially important for kids. They're curious, so they go play with the gun when mom and dad's not home, and that's where accidents happen. Mm-hmm. Well, if you, as the parent, have that gun out and teach them and take them shooting and all that, well, all of a sudden there's no curiosity in it. They just used it yesterday. Why would I go look at it or play with it? Or if I'm at my buddy's house, they know what damage it does by seeing a pop can explode or the prairie dog explode or whatever. If they see the ramification of pulling the trigger, and maybe because that kid got taught, he saved the other kid's life because he was able to tell that kid to put the gun away or point it different. All education and start them young and raise them right, kind of a thing, I guess, is my opinion.
We had that conversation with our guest last week, whose husband was a retired game warden, and it was the same thing. They grew up in a household where there was a gun. There was always a gun on a gun belt, and they had to learn real quickly that was a no-no, and it just became, then it took the mystery and the curiosity out of it because they had been exposed to it for so long. And what'd she say? They started teaching the boys to shoot revolvers at 4, something like that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's taking that mystique out of it. Right. To where they're not like, oh, they walk in and go, yeah, that's my dad's pistol. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. He'll pop you around the house or something. But it's a wise thing to, if you're going to have guns in the house, and number one, as a gun owner, you're trained to use them correctly, and that you're also careful with how you store them and store them securely, but also that you don't make it this big secret in the household, right? Especially if you've got kids.
Turns into the forbidden fruit.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I have 3 grandkids. The oldest one is 2, and he's very curious. He's in my shop every day. He comes over to see Papa every day, and there's guns laying everywhere in my shop. Some are customers, some are the ones I'm building. I can't hide them all from him. I can't lock them all up. Right. It's just too much. So when he's here, he looks at them. He plays with them, with either his dad or myself helping him, and if he goes to touch them without us, he gets disciplined, yelled at or whatever. No, don't touch him, don't touch him. And however you're, disciplining your own kid is your own deal, but he'll get a swat on the butt if he proceeds, and not to beat him, but he knows not to touch. But if he does want to touch, he'll either come and get Papa or Dad, and they'll pull him out, and we show him to him. He's 2 years old, and he understands the concept already of. I don't think he understands what it is. He understands this, this long skinny thing he can't touch without Dad or Grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
But like I say, I can't hide them all. I can't put them all away because it is my business, and they're everywhere.
It's funny. No matter how well you know this land, you always seem to get lost in it. That's because it's your escape, your place to reconnect to nature and yourself. At Capital Farm Credit, we're proud to help people like you purchase recreational land where you can hunt, fish, four-wheel, or simply get lost in. To learn how we can help you secure land like this, visit CapitalFarmCredit.com. Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
Being on a shooting team provides our youth with valuable life skills like confidence, responsibility, and leadership. However, most of the nation's youth shooting teams have little or no funding. The Midway USA Foundation is a 501c3 public charity working to sustain and grow the shooting sports industry by providing long-term funding to thousands of these teams, probably one in your community. Learn how the Midway USA Foundation is changing the future of youth shooting sports. Visit MidwayUSAFoundation.org.
Hey, I'm Trace Atkins, and if you grew up hunting like me, you know the importance of sound, or more importantly, silence. Every step, every breath, every move gets made with purpose. Silencers control the noise, and thanks to Silencer Central, buying one is now easier than ever. Plus, Silencer Central ships straight to your front door. Visit silencercentral.com/simple to see how you can get silence delivered.
When seconds matter in the game, every single decision made can mean a big win or a frustrating loss. When it comes to buying your next home and selling your existing home in the current market, every decision can mean serious money. Aggie fans, it's Dave South, and as you know, I've studied the best players and the best teams to represent our A&M family. One thing I've learned over the years, the best coaches have the respect of their team and the 12th man, you, the fans. In Bryan College Station, no realtor has more 5-star reviews on Google than Lance Lester and his team at the Lester Group. Why is that? Simple. No one offers more options that benefit you. If you want to buy your next home before you sell your current home, Lance can help you do that. If you want to know the date and price that you can count on your home selling for, Lance can guarantee it in writing. When the game is on the line, you want a leader with a proven track record calling the shots. Get your home sold faster and for the most money. Work with my friend Lance Lester and the Lester Group. Go to thelestergroup.com. That's thelestergroup.com and experience lightning in a bottle selling your home.
I want to go back to something, back to the rifles, back to Red Desert Rifles. Now, you prefer to work with a specific kind of wood. I was Ramona and I were perusing around the website, and I think it said you prefer to work with tiger or curly maple. Is that true? And why is that?
Yes. So I specialize in the tiger maple. I'm lucky I have a supplier out of Pennsylvania that he's got a super good eye for picking those logs, and when we get them sawn and dried and sent to me, it's exhibition grade wood. I enjoy it too. Like the old Kentucky long rifles were made out of that, so it's a little bit of history or heritage carrying on, and then just the beauty and the boldness of them. Every gun that you go to the store is either synthetic or it's walnut. Well, it's kind of boring. Mm-hmm. That tiger maple is definitely very, very bold, very loud, and some people don't like it because it is too loud or it's too busy, got too much going on. But all the characteristics of sometimes the stripe is perfectly straight and very tight together, and sometimes they're far apart and thick, and they kind of bleed out. And Mother Nature's pretty cool how she designed all that stuff. But for me, starting with a basically a 2x4 and then carving it out, seeing it come to play, and then seeing it finished of what it was and what it is now is impressive for me, and usually for my clients too. I've actually sent, in that fitting process, I've sent their actual piece of wood to them, and they called and chewed my butt because I ordered tiger maple and this is not tiger maple. Well, when it's raw, it's very white, it's very blonde. Once it's shaped, I put this acid on it that reacts with the sugar that's left behind in it. It just enhances the stripes. It doesn't put stripe in it, and it totally changes the color. But I didn't do a good job explaining to them that it was, raw, and then it was going to look like this when it was done. And I got my butt chewed because I sent them the wrong piece of wood one time, which was, comical on my end, but also taught me a lesson that I need to elaborate more with my clients as well. So.
Yeah, it's gorgeous wood. I mean, I look at that and I go, wow, I'm not worthy of that. But that leads me to my next question. If we have nice wood, if we've invested in wood like a tiger maple or whatever it is, Turkish walnut or whatever your choice is of custom woods, I'm always afraid of dinging them up. Is there some wisdom you can impart on us if we've dinged our wooden stocks, or is that just part of the character of it, as they say?
There's I have a whole story for that.
Okay.
So the finish on them is a urethane. It looks very fragile, but it's not. It's pretty durable. It takes quite a bit of abuse, but for sure you can scratch it. If you fall on the rocks, you're going to scratch it. It's going to scratch. Yeah. My theory there is that it's like the notch in the butt of the gun. Every time you see that scratch, you're going to remind yourself of something silly you did.
Yeah.
I made a mistake. I was that kind of a thing. If it gets to where, if it really bothers you, you can send it back and I can refinish it as well. It's not a huge deal to refinish that stuff. And then I get a lot of the shows, especially, man, I'd be scared to take that gun hunting. It's too pretty to hunt with. Mm-hmm. And my gun's $15,000. You're scared to take it out and scratch it. Okay, I get it. What do you drive for a pickup? And you tell me, a Ford 350 King Ranch, $100,000 truck. Okay, well, do you leave it in the garage or do you drive it? No, I drive it. It's my truck. And what happens if you take it to Walmart? It gets a dent in it, or I take it hunt, it gets a scratch in it. Well, it's a truck. It's a tool. I'm going to scratch it. That's just what happens. Same theory with your gun. It's still just a tool. Take care of it the best you can.
Right.
But stuff's going to happen. I mean, it's going to get scratched. It's going to show wear. And I bring a gun to every show with me that's about 10 years old. I took it on my dull sheep hunt in Alaska, 10 days backpacking, rain, snow, sleet. Mm-hmm. It's been on and off my mule in a scabbard for 10 years shooting elk in Wyoming. It's still pretty enough to bring it to the show, but it is also scratched up. It has wear marks. It's got dings in it. I show that as, the gun's 10 years old. It still looks that good. Like it's not a safe clean.
Yeah. Yeah, so. That's you live and eat, breathe this world every day. That's a perfect analogy. You're going to buy a truck and let it sit in the garage, and he's exactly right. You're not. Yeah. It's not a show gun. It's a working tool, a working instrument. So that's the great thing. Yeah, and I kudos on you for bringing those guns and showing people what they. What they look like 10 years later. Because I'm the same way. I've dinged guns up that I've had forever, and I'm like, I can almost remember the time when I dinged them and what exactly happened. I fell down and wasn't paying attention to what I was doing or something like that. So, Chad Chapman, Red Desert.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
No. What were you going to say?
I do. I've got a rifle that took both my sons on their first pack trip. We were 8 or 9 miles in there, and my horse laid down and rolled over and went down the hill, tipped over, rolled 5 or 6 times. The gun come out of the scabbard, and of course it did somersaults. And here's this gun. It's dinged and pinged, but it wasn't broken. It was dinged and pinged, and you get asked all the time, why didn't you refinish that thing? Why don't you fix it? That was 15, 18 years ago with my 2 boys on their first pack trip, and every time I pull that gun out, I remember having them 2 kids with me. And they actually remember that gun too. Hey, that's the gun whiskey rolled over on. Whiskey is my horse. That's the gun whiskey rolled on. So I'll never refinish that gun, and because of that story.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. That's a memory. Yeah, it's absolutely a memory. Well, Chad, man, we have run up against the clock here. We really appreciate your time. Chad Chapman with Red Desert Rifles. Check out his website at rifles.Tune. You will not be disappointed. I see Ramona's over there, got the credit card out, making
This is going to be another
shopping
expensive
list.
show.
Wait till I tell your wife, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Baby, do you want an heirloom or not?
Yeah, it's an heirloom, hon. Yeah, I know the owner. He's going to make me a good deal.
You guys are going to have one at your auction this year, I believe, too, on the live auction.
We are. Yep. For convention in January 2025, we are going to have a Red Desert rifle custom build, and so Chad's bringing out some samples, of course, and you won't walk out of there with it because it's going to take you about 10 months, and it's going to be custom perfect fit to whoever buys it. Chad's going to shoot it, and I'm sure whoever buys it rifle at our convention is probably going to go out for the shooting school as well. But yeah, I'm excited about that. It's definitely going to class up the joint a little bit. Chad, we appreciate your time, man. We'll talk again soon, and I will see you in January.
Hunting Matters is a Houston Safari Club Foundation production, hosted by HSCF Executive Director Joe Bitar and Ramon Robles. Produced by Ramon Robles. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For questions or more information, email us at info@wehuntwegive.org.